So yesterday, Packers defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley spoke with the media. It was a very good interview, as he always gives. He's honestly probably one of my favorite people to listen to because he really does go into a ton of depth and explains things in a very simple way. And I know all offseason the talk was that, Jeff Hafley was a great communicator and he explained things in a way that allowed his defenses and players to, to play fast and not have to think too much. And I think you can sort of see that part of him and his personality just from watching his interviews. But I want to share 3 separate short clips that I think are the most interesting from this 16-minute press conference here. If you guys want more Packers content, feel free to subscribe down below. I put up Packers content typically, 2 times per weekday. But here is the first one here from the Packers YouTube channel.
You get what you emphasize, right? And I think what's always been really important to me philosophically is taking the ball away. And I don't think it happens by accident or by any luck. I think you gotta talk about it, you gotta be about it, and you have to go out and practice it. And then it's gonna show up in games, and then once they believe in it, it's gonna show up more and more. So when you get in front of the whole team and you constantly are talking about it each week and you're showing the team that it's not just talk. It's not like hearsay, like, hey, we're going to attack the ball and be good at taking away the ball. We've dedicated a whole meeting to it. When I was in San Francisco with the Niners, Kyle had me do that meeting every Thursday for 2 years. So it's something that I took a lot of pride in. It's something that I put a lot of time into, and I wanted to give a powerful message each week. Sometimes it got hard after a long season when you're just talking about the ball. But I think in those 2 years, I've learned the importance of the ball. But I do think it is really important. I think our staff is taking great ownership in those meetings. And you also talk to the offensive players. It's not just talking about taking the ball away. It's showing the offensive players, these guys aren't holding it well. We can't look like that. Or there's times when we'll put up in front of the group, if I'm the Texans, I'm coming after you, here's why, and we'll show 3 clips of our guys not holding the ball well. Like, you're our targeted guys, we're going to get you, right? So that's pretty much it.
All right, so there's no doubt that the Packers this year have been so much better than they were last season when it came to takeaways. Only 7 interceptions last year, and now they're leading the league in takeaways, and we heard how much the Packers have emphasized it last year. Jair talked about it and how it seems like there's even more of a focus on it this year than in years past. And, you would think this is something that every team in the NFL would do because obviously turnovers are such a key factor in who wins games, the turnover margin, things like that. But it seems like Hafley takes it to a whole nother level, and we've witnessed the results of these meetings where they just talk about forcing turnovers, forcing fumbles. And it does feel like these Packers players on defense are, punching at the ball when guys are running it much more often than in times past. And so, that's one of the greatest developments this season and one of the greatest differences from what we witnessed under Joe Barry. And, you could hear how into it Jeff Hafley is and how important he thinks it is. And I thought that was cool as well. He mentions that they're even looking at the Texans players and saying, okay, they're looking at the Packers players and saying, okay, maybe you're not holding the ball properly. This is how we would take advantage. And so it sounds like even Hafley's, focus on the turnovers and for his defense is impacting the Packers offense to sort of show them where they could be weak. So that's cool to see just how much detail he puts into that. And I think so far with what Jeff Hafley's done to this defense, it's pretty impressive so far. Now let me go to this next clip here. I like this one here. He basically goes into how the defense hasn't really gotten to their best yet and how they're still adapting. I thought it was pretty interesting, so here you go.
That's the whole thing about our defense right now. We got some of these young guys that give us the versatility to move people around and get creative. And as you start to see each week, if you turn us on and really watch us, there's something a little bit new every single week, right? And it's kind of talked about. We got to build and build and build and find out what we're good at, who's good at what, and then really start to roll. And I don't think we're there yet. I think we're still at the infancy stages of where we're going to be as a defense and what ultimately it's going to look like. But he is a key piece in all of that, like a key piece.
He was talking about Javon Bullard there at the end. And so that's another thing that's promising right now. The fact that we're entering week 7 and we've seen the Packers play one of their best games last week against the Arizona Cardinals. They have a big test this Sunday against the Texans. If you want to see my prediction video on that, you can check it out on my channel here. I did it yesterday, I believe. And so when you have a new coordinator, whether offensive coordinator, whether defensive coordinator, it's not, surprising that the more time you have with the coach, the more time he has with these players, they understand the scheme more. They're not thinking as much. And he brings up here how as time goes by, basically as they are sure about their roles and what they're doing, he can add more things to the defense so to not overwhelm them too quickly. And that's one other emphasis one thing that was talked about this offseason was that Hafley just explain things in a simple way. And, you can tell even in other parts of this interview, he was talking about the rookies and saying that with Edgerrin Cooper, I think it was, and even some of the other rookie guys, that you don't want to give guys too much responsibility too quickly because then they're not going to play well because they're overthinking. They have too much on their mind. And so he seems to be smart about implementing certain things and holding some things back because if you give them too much, then it's going to make them think too much and they're just going to have too much to focus on. And so that's why it's exciting to wonder what this Packers defense can be, 5 weeks from now, 10 weeks from now, come playoff time. It sounds like this defense can really get into where they're playing some of their best football of the entire season. And I know it's only been 6 weeks. It's, too early to judge Hafley and what he's going to be in the long run as a defensive coordinator. But the way that he explains things, the way this Packers defense is played, sure, there's some weaknesses. I'd say the pass rush needs to improve, things like a few other things as well. But all in all, the Packers' run defense is better. They're forcing turnovers. They're playing more physical. I think everything we all hoped as Packers fans that we would see this season, moving on from Joe Barry to Jeff Hafley. And right now it looks like signing Hafley was a good decision. There's a long season ahead of us, but so far it's been good. Now here we have one final clip here I want to show you. And he talks about the importance of basically being willing to adapt with your defense. So here we go.
Yeah, I think it's about adapting, right? I've kind of said this since I got here. It's not like, hey, here's the playbook. This is in. Go run the defense. It's each week, what did we look like? What do we look like when they watch us on tape? What can we do a little bit different to counter that? What do we do really well? Like, let's do more of it, make it look different. And then as we start to see certain players do certain things, how can we best use them to improve? We have to keep getting better. Like, that's the whole key to this whole entire thing as we go. So any way that we can adapt and get better, both coaching, playing, scheme, personnel, it's not just like plug and like let's evolve. And I think that's very important.
And that's one thing I like about Jeff Hafley is that he's not stuck in one certain way where it has to be this way or, if we're doing it this way and it's not working, we're just going to keep doing it because that's how it should be. It sounds like he's very open to adapting and changing things if things aren't working, which I feel like you need to be able to do as a coach. And I think that could be why we see the Packers defense in lots of these second halves play much better football because he's looking at what the offense is doing, making some adjustments, and then they come out and play even better. Look at the Vikings game. The Vikings put up 28 the first half, only 3 the second half. I think in the Rams game, I think they only scored 3 points in the second half. And so to have a guy who adapts, who's able to, change what's not working, I think that's something you want to see from a, defensive coordinator. And going forward, I think that, as I said before, I'm curious to see, how good this Packers defense can be as he adds more and more. But if you guys want more Packers content, feel free to subscribe down below. You want to check out my second channel. I have some videos here breaking down Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, and the Jets and what they're sort of doing now. But thank you for watching. You can follow me on Twitter at LukeBeller3, and I'll see you guys next time.